now outside. So when I get home, I'm gonna shoot you guys a beautiful video. I'm joking, it's not beautiful. I'm gonna tell you guys about the day when my father almost killed me. I almost died from what my father did to me. So I'm gonna shoot that video for you guys. I'm from work, driving to my house. Yeah. Let me start here at Kentucky here in my hood and buy myself something. I don't know what I'm gonna buy myself because I have food. I cooked yesterday, but me being me, ndiyazithanda kaloku into ezimnandi mna kakhulu. Ndakhula ngazo guys into ezimnandi, that's why ndizithanda. Blame my mom and my dad. Hello, Sissy, how are you?
I'm good.
I'm fine. I'm not too hungry and I have food in my house. I want something, what is nice, something small to snack on. And your ice creams, I know you guys have nice ranges of ice cream. What's happening there? What can you recommend to me? Why are you laughing at me?
Okay,
Something that won't disappoint me. Hello. What are you recommending to me?
alright, that's one ice cream man. Ice cream, yeah.
Sorry, Zizi?
Have you tried ice cream?
Yes, which one?
Oreo.
Yes, let me try that.
Okay.
I know we will never go wrong with Oreo.
Anything else?
Nothing, my angel.
Okay, so one small puff and one Oreo.
Yes, the ice cream, sweetie, must not be too big. I don't have a sweet tooth. I mean it. It's something small.
No, it's fine.
Thank you, my sweet angel. Let me drive through. Sure. Are you the one with a nice voice? Well, let me.
Put it around at 8%.
Okay, sweet. I'm gonna use my that points card. I think I have about 200 rands in it. The points card. Then you can put the pin for me. It's at the back. It's not a bank card, hey? It's a points card. Oh, it's called the rewards card. Hey, the pin is at the back. At least there's no money here. Can you swipe for me, please, my sweetheart? Thank you, guys. Papa, you need to know. I've gained a subscriber at KFC in my hood. Guys, be nice to people, okay? You're gonna gain more subscribers. Hello, guys. They're greeting you guys. Ndingakreshi gulam bethunana kwa Kentucky. I don't like drive-thrus because sometimes they can be very narrow. are you saying?
Okay, you ordered a small pops and the Oreo treats.
Yes, my angel. I ordered small pops and ice cream
Yes,
as well.
alright, this is the Oreo treat.
Thank you. What's your name? Gugu. Thank you, Gugu. I'm gonna enjoy my food. Thank you, my sweetheart. Have a blessed evening, hey?
Same to you, eh?
Thank you, sweetie.
Enjoy the meal.
I will. Thank you. Bye, my angel. Bye, sweetie. Let me enjoy my ice cream and indulge, you know. I'm gonna enjoy this. It's nice and small. Sana sekumese taxi ngoku apha. Hey, hayi sana ngumhlola kaDoki. later, my angels. Let me get to Spy and buy some milk. Guys, I'm back from work. So we're gonna shoot now, okay? Remember, I promised you guys a nice video, okay? Hello, my angels, and welcome to my channel. Hello. I'm finally at home, so I'm gonna shoot a video for you guys. The day my father almost killed me, I almost died. Welcome, guys. Let's get to it. Before we get to it, please do not forget to subscribe to my channel, like, share, comment. Please, guys, please tell your friends to subscribe. Tell your grandmothers' mothers to subscribe. Tell your cousins, tell your friends, tell your husbands side chicks, tell your boyfriends side chicks, call your dads, call your mothers, please, call your siblings. They must come. Just tell them that the village girl with a PhD is online. Okay, let me put my shoes and my bag away, and then I move to a location where I'm gonna talk to you guys. Let's grab the ice cream, guys. Wait, it has melted. The first school that I went to out of my village, the first boarding school Mom and Dad sent me to, is in the Mpondo land, as I have told you in my previous videos. A Roman Catholic boarding school called Kwele Mission. Kwele Catholic Mission. Isikolo Samaroma. Let me now tell you about the day Dad almost killed me. In that school, we used to sit in a big dining room, over 300 students, pupils. Then we would all eat there. Grade 1, during our times, it was called Sub A. Sub A to Standard 1, they had their own dining room for eating because they were very, very small kids. Then from Standard 2, and I was doing Standard 3 that year in 1993. Then from Standard 2 until Standard 7. Remember, the school, it ends at grade 9. There is no high school there. So you can imagine everyone who was in that school is fairly young. Some of us were very young, not even fairly young. But even people who were doing Standard 7, grade 9, they were fairly young. So even guys who were doing Standard 7, they were fairly young, guys. Okay, so that means there was no one at Kwele who was above age 15 in the entire school, unless ufunde umdala. Now let's get to the crux of this video. My dad almost killed me. Daddy's little girl loaned him. My own dad almost killed me, utatam. So in this school, we used to eat in this big dining room. And this other day, it was on a Sunday. And we had, for supper, we were eating some sandwiches. Cheese, white cheese sandwiches. Kwele was a mission. It was more of a religious institution. So they used to get donations from overseas, then food from overseas. Some of the food items, of course, e.g. the cheese. So there was this cheese that was white in color, that was shipped all the way from overseas in these big tins like this. So that cheese used to be cut into slices, and then we would eat it as students. All of us. Each one would get a nice half of a slice, a thick one of that cheese. It didn't taste nice. That one, I must not forget to say it. Okay, fast forward. So this Sunday, we're eating cheese sandwiches for supper and tea, because obviously during the day we ate 7 colors. Not that it was real 7 colors, guys. It was not, but it was just rice, veg, gravy, meat. Yeah, and we were a lot at 12. Fine. So this Sunday, we got our plates on our tables. At a table, there were 14 people, 7 on one side, then it's a table, and on the other side, it was another 7 people. So at a table in that big dining room, 14 people would sit in each table. And then when you get inside the dining room, we found our food already there on the tables. So you would find your big quarter of bread, buttered already, with a slice of cheese on your side plate. It was not side plates from them, guys. Every parent who had a child at Twele had to buy those plates for the child. Now on this Sunday, in March 1993, guys, I was 10 years old in 1993. I was very small, very young, very small even in stature. Whilst we were eating in the evening, the prefects came in and told us anyone who doesn't want the cheese must come to the front. There was a big table there at the front where the big dishes that were carrying the cheese were packed at. So they said anyone who doesn't want to eat the cheese must bring the slice here and walk to the door, to the front of the dining room and put the cheese there. The reason why they said that, the cheese was rotten. You know cheese, guys, when it's stale, with those fungus marks on it, it was rotten. Okay, there was no drama, there was nothing. We just obeyed the prefect's instructions. And then, who's gonna eat rotten cheese? Us. No, we can't eat rotten cheese. Seriously. Remember, we eat nice things in our homesteads. So, eating rotten cheese. No. So, some of us decided, not even some of us, 98% of that dining room, didn't eat the cheese. We modeled to the front. We put the cheese there. And we walked back to our seats, to our tables. And then we ate our tea with buttered bread. So, whilst we were busy eating in the dining room, approximately 40 minutes later, the sisters, the nuns, onongendi, aba bantu banxibeza qhiya, who are not married and bathanda icawe nezalokhwe zabo. So they came, sister bethu. Then they called out few names. They had a list. Where they got the list whilst we were eating, I don't know. So they called a few names. Let's estimate, I don't remember properly, but let's estimate. Maybe in that dining room, we're about 400. So they called names, about 50 names. They told those people to step outside the dining room. So obviously, if your name is not called out, you remain inside. So the dining room was still packed with many people, including myself, because my name was not called out so that I can step outside the dining room. So we were told that we must vacate the mission and leave everything else. We must go home. Sigotiwe. We must come back tomorrow with our parents. Are you listening to me? We were like a swarm of bees, guys, because we were a lot. It's not like it was 50 who was expelled. It was the majority, a lot of us. Wake wambona phi umntana ona 10 years egxothwa? Wake wambona phi nyani umuntu ona 10 years old egxothwa? A child who's 10 years old is very young. And Kwele is quite a stretch from Umtata, where my dad was working. That time, my mom had already relocated to Dutwa, teaching in remember, mom relocated to teach at that school in 1990. So dad was still working in Umtata because it was 1993, a year before my dad went on pension. So a year before dad took early pension. So we were told that we must leave the mission early hours of the morning, about 5 o'clock. And Sikotiwe, we have been expelled from the school. Guess what? We left. How did we get to Umtata? Because Umtata is very far. Umtata is about 100 kilometers away from Twele. And we're not even given money to maybe walk to a main road. Not that there were taxis in Twele. In Twele was a boarding school that was deep in the forest, a dense forest, where everything was there. The school, the hostels for the boys, the hostel for the girls, the dining room, the eating areas, the playgrounds, the fields for the fruits and the vegetables. The church was inside. Everything was just inside the mission, including the dams, the rivers, and so on and so forth. Guys, there was only one car in that village. It's in a village called Maqebevu, Emapondweni. Why our parents sent us there, I don't know, but I know mine. It was for their academic excellence, because Twele was well-known. People whose kids were at Twele were talking great things about Twele when it comes to academics and discipline. But that was not really discipline. That was actually abuse. I can say it now because I am 40. That was 30 years ago. Now I have rights. I can defend myself. Yeah. So, expelling young kids. Why don't you write a letter to their parents then? Because there were no phones at Twele. But there were. So, remember when the school is closing, they are the ones who are writing letters to our parents that please come and fetch your child on this day, the school is closing. So why didn't they do that? Guess what are they saying to us? We are expelling you guys because you are playing with food. You are not grateful. Grateful? Are we orphans? Are we from poor families? No. Our parents only sent our parents only sent us there for the discipline and the great academic excellence. So they said that's the reason why we're being expelled. We are disrespectful. We playing with food. We don't want to eat food that was sponsored to us by the overseas Roman Catholic churches. That's what they told us. Excuse me. We woke up, and luckily there was a girl called Nomfundo Gwiji. Nomfundo, if you have subscribed to my channel, you will remember this story, Sisi. Nomfundo was a few years older than me, doing standard 6, I think, or standard 7. She was almost completing at 12. Our parents were working together. If Nomfundo's father, who was actually talking a lot of nice things to my dad, not only to my dad, to his colleagues at work, and my dad was one of his colleagues at work at Sportnet. So, and Nomfundo and his brother Loazi Gwiji were already at Twele, and our fathers were colleagues. Because Nomfundo was much older than me, so she knew the workplace where our parents were working. Count me out, guys, I was very young. I've never been to my dad's workplace. So, not that I would even know the address. Okay, even though we're staying few kilometers, less than a kilometer from my dad's workplace, because my dad was staying in the Sportnet houses, All the supervisors at Sportnet, they had one of the benefits, which is a big house where you stay with your family and pay nothing. So I didn't know my dad's workplace. And 2, how was I going to figure out which side of town is it in Umtata when I'm coming from the toilet direction? So luckily there was no Fundo which were expelled. We all walked. We walked, guys. We were literally going to walk 100 kilometers to Umtata. No, I'm dead serious. There was only one car in that village, which was owned by an old Tamkulu, a shopkeeper. And there was only one shop in that village where the mission was. So as we were walking, after an hour, and obviously I was walking with Nomfundo because she was taking care of me during this whole set situation. We were going to my dad's workplace, to our father's workplace in Mtata. So we got a shopkeeper, and anyone who could get inside that van was lucky. And guess what? My energy. Guys, you know my energy. I'm one of the kids who jumped into the back of the van, including Nomfundo. And how many people can a van take? We're not even more than 15 inside that van at the back. Thanks to that damn cool who saved us, because I don't know how on earth were we going to be able to arrive in Umtata, which is 100 kilometers away from the boarding school. We arrived in Umtata, we got out in the CBD, then Nomfundo and I walked up the Umtata town. And then after a few minutes we arrived. We obviously, the colleagues that we found there, in one office, that was the first one when you enter the door, they didn't know us, but obviously they knew our fathers because they are working with them. So Nomfundo told them everything, the whole story that I just told you guys, the expulsion. and that mna ndingumntana katata uMadliwa, yena ungumntana katata uGwiji. Thank God that our parents were seniors, they're superintendents at Spornet. So they were called over the intercom, Mr. Madliwa and Mr. Gwiji, can you please come to the foyer, to the front? And then Mr. Gwiji came, not my father. Then Mr. Gwiji said to the receptionist that my dad is busy in a meeting with staff members, with his team. Then Ofundo told her dad everything. I don't think you know how fast he walked to call my father from the boardroom. Dad came very calm. Dad was a very calm man, guys. Dad had a character of that guy. You know that guy. Oh, good evening, fellow South Africans. If you don't know who is oh, good evening, fellow South Africans, then unfortunately, I cannot help you. But my dad, if you see the character of oh, good evening, fellow South Africans, that calmness and, that was my dad's character. So dad arrived at the foyer and got the shock of his life. Dad said, okay, Mtanam, wait here. Give me 5 minutes, I'm coming now. So guess what? I'm sure Dad was going to adjourn his meeting. Guess where we were going? We were going to my mom. These people were best friends. These are my parents. They were best friends. I'm sure Utata was like, yo, inkulu le umntana ogqothwa at age 10 kwabe kuphi kube kuphi. And Dad didn't even ask the story as to why are we dismissed. Because Nomfundo said that botata bam sigqothelwe icheese ebolileyo besingafuna uyitya. And then Dad thought that we are lying. You will understand as to why Dad thought that, even though he never said anything. Then our parents left work with us. Nomfundo and his father went straight to Twele because at least it's 100 kilometers away. As for Dad, we drove the opposite direction. We drove out of Umtata to my hometown. We obviously were expelled early hours of the morning. So we arrived in Umtata around about 9. I don't know the time, but it was very early. Hence, my dad was busy in a morning meeting with his team, and it was on a Monday. So, on the road, before we get to the road, first stop from Spornet, the first stop was the garage, then Kentucky. Dad bought me 2 pieces of Kentucky and a mini loaf and a 500 mils of Coke. Don't ask me why our parents were feeding us such junk food early hours of the morning, but that's how we grew up. Even with mom. Mom would dish for me and my siblings cooked chicken in the morning with bread or fat cooks with mincemeat. Our parents, they spoiled us, guys. Yeah, they spoiled us rotten, and they were not bothered with I bought this child, what if she gets sick? Our parents never had those thoughts. They were just feeding us nice things. We didn't have the luxury of bacon and eggs, croissants. No, not in the village. We're eating very nice, yes, but mincemeat and fat cook, rice and chips and white bread. Hence, Dad was seeing nothing wrong in buying me Kentucky. Okay, we drove. Sitting next to my dad in the back, the highlights, the van. Then Dad was quiet right throughout the way. And obviously I was sleeping because we didn't sleep. Guess what? We didn't sleep in our bedrooms. We slept in one big area. Guys, if you see me, I have a story, guys, to be where I am today. I've worked very hard. I fought very hard for myself to be who I am today. Because I've went through fire. All of us at Twile, by the way, went through fire, but now because the channel is mine, I'm talking me. Okay. So I was tired, so I was sleeping right throughout the way. Because we didn't sleep, we were put in a room full of tools, spades. The spades that we use and the sickles that we use to cut the fields there in the mission at Twele. So Dad was quiet, peaceful as ever, calm as ever. We got home and Mom was still at school because it was still in the morning, guys. It was before 12 o'clock midday. Mom was at school in Mtawelanga. We arrived in the homestead, and remember, I told you guys about Anmakolo. Anmakolo was there. We found Anmakolo selling in the shop. Guys, the minute Dad's car stopped inside the yard of their homestead, Yena no Mama, guess what happened? As I was stepping out of the car on the other side, going to the shop to Anmakolo, Dad grabbed me and beat me, not with fists, kicking me. Without saying anything. Remember, character kata ifana neka, good evening, fellow South Africans. Ifana neyake. So you never expect that from my father. And by the way, I'm the only child who has ever been beaten by my father, even though I was Daddy's favorite. I'm the only child. My siblings have never, not even one of them has ever been beaten by our father. Tina school esibethwa ngumama, sikutiswa ngumama. Remember, mama, miss was high school. So mama, that's that. Utata was a talker, talk to us and all that if you've done something. Not abet. That was not Dad's way of correcting a child's mistake or a child's behavior. Not that we had a bad behavior. Guys, I've given you my background. There, you had to be in line, you had to be straight. Akudlalwa. Otherwise, uquthiswa sana ngumama ngoswazi ubethwe. Ha. So, as I was stepping out of the car, Dad grabbed me and very quietly, he didn't say a thing, kicked me. Guys, Dad kicked me as I'm standing next to him. I fell quite a distance away from where he was standing. And then he came straight to me again and kicked me again without saying anything. Until Anmakolo came out of the shop running. Booty. Anmakolo was calling my parents Booty. She was calling my dad Booty. And then she was calling my mom Sisi. Booty, and Anmakolo was right. Dad almost killed me. Because when I was already on the floor, Dad was still kicking me. Guys, have you ever been beaten by a quiet person? Mnandiayaz, my dad did that. So, guys, before I continue with this story, learn from this story of mine. Be very careful. Ungazumgezela umuntu othuleyo. Uyakubetha libhokisi sana. Because Dad, those kicks, guys, even if it was few kicks, they were hard. They were harsh. You would swear that my dad is a policeman. And then he left and got inside his car and drove to Mtawelanga to fetch my mom. So they followed each other in their cars. And Mom arrived. And obviously, Mom found me crying like a hyena. I was crying like a hyena. And whoever was passing next to the home, I'm sure he or she was shocked. I don't remember if there were people passing. But one thing I know, my neighbors heard that cry. But there's nothing they were going to say. Remember, my home was a university. So people, they are very careful of interfering with my home. They respect my home so much because of my parents' character. They are very humble, very quiet, very kind to everyone in the village. So yeah, within a few minutes they arrived and I was crying, sitting on the floor, crying on the floor next to the shop. Then Anmakolo told my mom everything. And obviously Dad told my mom. I don't know what my dad told my mom when he got inside the staff room there in my mom's school. And maybe he told my mom that our child has been expelled, Unokanyo. And this is the situation. the school, the nuns have instructed them to come and fetch us, and we go to Twele and fetch their clothes. Then my mom said, we are not driving to Twele now. We will drive in the morning. I need to talk to my child first and understand what happened there. My mom, to cut the long story short, was not happy to hear what Anmakolo told her. And he told her everything, that Booty kicked me and all that. My mom didn't like that. But remember, guys, you know our parents. You will never hear them arguing. But you will know that there is something, you know, those few occasions, of course. What I remember, Mama left me in the shop with Anmakolo and said, my husband, can I speak to? They went to their bedroom. I don't know what they spoke about. But yes, I was 10 years old, but now that I'm much older, I know that was a confrontation. I'm sure Mom was telling him that you cannot hit my child like that, or you cannot hit my child, our child, before we hear the story. Because this story of the cheese, my mom dismissed that story. She could not believe the story that so many young kids have been dismissed just for refusing to eat cheese that was expired, rotten, not even expired. So when Mom came back, Mama fetched me. That's why I'm saying I don't know what they spoke about in the bedroom. But obviously, Daddy was quiet, and Mommy, obviously, you can't hear Mommy. Mama was a very respectful person. You would not hear Mama shouting at her husband. Mom used to shout at us, the kids. Our mom. So, but one thing I can remember, Mom slept that day in my bedroom with me. So Dad slept alone that night, and we had to wake up very early at 5 and rush to toilet. Dad said we are leaving the homestead at 5 so that if the nuns are taking us back, I cannot miss another day's work, another day's school work. That's how strict my parents were. So we woke up very early. My mom woke me up around about 4, and I had to wear the school uniform I was in. We're dismissed in our uniforms. We're told that let's wear our uniforms, okay? I'm sure Amaroma were trying to prove a point using us that when many people in Umtata see us in uniforms, then they will see that Twele is a no-nonsense school. You will be dismissed even if you are 6 years old or 10 years old. Okay. Don't ask me about how the other kids got to their homes and their villages. Don't even ask me. Now what I know, that's how me and Nomfundo Gwichi got to our parents' workplace. Coming back to Dutwa, the story about my mom, we slept in the same bedroom. Mom cooked supper, we ate and dished for Dad and washed our dishes. And then Mom boiled the kettle. There was no electricity in the village that time. There was generator at home though. So Mom boiled the kettle, and then we sagalele komini, and we komini yake sahlamba no Mom. Then when I was going to my bedroom, Mom said, I'm sleeping with you today, my child. We slept together. When Dad came looking for my mom said, no, my husband, I am sleeping with my child today. I need to nurse my child. Because kaloku uceba ngubani lo mzali ofuna umbhurhulela umntana ukhatywe emiqolo nasesiswini. Uyamazi uNdonci? I almost fainted, guys. I almost died. Lapha ndigqajukelwa nguNdonci. You know, and I was young and tiny. Okay. So Mama Salala Sobaitu, we woke up, and obviously I was squashed in between them in the van in the morning. And then we drove to Twele. And in the car, they were not speaking to each other. It was quiet in the car. Mom was speaking to me. Kaloku inimba iyasika bethuna. At the end of the day, I'm my dad's blessed seat. But who carried me in her blessed womb for 9 months? It's my mom. My mother. Umamami. Izukelihle. Umbethu. My mom. My dad's queen. Ilegacy zikatata. Lo wandibethela istory ezingekabikho accurate. So we got to Twele, run about 7:15 in the morning, and then we're directed from the parking area by the other nuns that okay, obviously they were waiting for us because it's all of us, guys. It's a lot of us that were dismissed, that were expelled. So parents were coming with their kids. So there were nuns standing at the car parking area, then directing us to the school principal's office. When we got them, there was a queue. Guess who was in the queue? Our parents and us. You find the parent, the mother and the father with their child, or the single parents with their child, and so on and so forth. So we queued it. I think there were about few parents in front of me. After approximately 10 minutes, it was our turn. We got inside. Inside is the school principal. Let's protect her, guys. I don't even know whether she's still alive, by the way. Sorry, guys, I didn't mean to laugh. So, yeah, that was 30 years ago. And they were old already. The school principal was about 60, approaching 60, 30 years ago. So, if she's still alive, she's probably in her mid-90s or approaching 100, So, I won't mention her name. So, we got inside, we closed the door. Then I'm going to imitate her, how she spoke. Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. Madliwa. We're gonna get straight to the point. What Nokanyo did, she threw at the nuns and the aunties with the cheese. They were hiding, ducking from the cheese because these kids were throwing cheese at the aunties. That was not a toy. Why would we be throwing cheese at adults? Like the previous years. There was once a toy in Kwele, apparently, in the 1980s. And that was done by the boys. And the whole hostel apparently was empty. They never returned. They were all dismissed. So that year, there were no boys at Kwele. We heard the story. Obviously, we heard the story when we were already in the school. At least with us, they were not even fair. They knew that they created the story that is non-existing and made sure that it's existing. You are saying with true cheese, we beat adults with cheese. That story was made up. It was non-existing. So that's why they didn't even have the guts and the nerve to dismiss us permanently, just like they did a few years ago with boys. So they say, let's come back to inside the principal's office. Oh, sister so and so, wearing the full uniform of nuns. And these are prayer warriors, by the way, who did this. People fast and pray. Their day, it's all about prayer. They pray non-stop. Hence, we had to go to church almost every day in Kwele. Hence, when the bell rings in church, wherever you are, whether you are playing on the school playground, you had to stand still and pray until the bell goes off again, and then you continue playing. So inside the principal's office again. So they threw the us with cheese. But now we are not dismissing them. They must go back to the classroom, but with one condition, that you beat them. Here is a cane. You beat your child, then she goes to class. Guys, my parents. You could see the anger on my father's face before he could utter his words. Then Mama said, sister, are you done with this story? By the way, let me go back. So when we were getting in the parking area, other parents were leaving with their luggage. Then Mom and Dad spoke to one of the parents. They said, our kids didn't do anything. They are saying we must beat our kids. Me and her mother were not doing that. We are taking him. No, there was no him there. It was she, because girls had their own dining room and boys had their own dining room. So boys were safe. Nobody was safe. It was only us girls. So then, and mama ignored that story and went inside. So we're inside now. Then my mom said, sister, are you done with this whole thing? So you dismissed our young kids into the forest. Do you know we're inside the hub of the forest here? So it was a mission that is surrounded by trees. Not just trees, guys. It was a forest. It was built inside the forest. As if you are soldiers in a camp or somewhere in the Republic of Congo or wherever. So my dad said, so basically you dismissed our kids only for that. Dad was not happy that the story that they are saying is different from the story that Nomfundo told him and her father yesterday at Sportnet. And obviously, when we're in the queue, as the kids, we're talking to our parents, and our story was the same. We're singing the same story with the same song. So Dad said, in this case, I believe my daughter, Umafungwa Shewam, that you guys gave them rotten cheese and they refused to eat it. That story, I thought even that story of the cheese, Dad did not even acknowledge the whole cheese story. The reason why Dad was beating me, even if he never said it, amongst many other reasons that I will mention, maybe, and even those reasons at Tamsak, I think one of the reasons why Dad assaulted me is because, one, Dad thought that I'm lying. I don't want to tell him and Mom the honest truth. Dad didn't believe that a child can be dismissed for cheese. Whether you threw it at an adult or you put it back into its tray. Dad did not believe that story. So he was beating me, even though he never said it, for the fact that I'm not telling the truth. Because Dad knew that so all of those things, I didn't have them. Because I was on par with my behavior. As for boys, I mean, where would I start? I'm young, for heaven's sake. So, no, now that Dad was hearing the word cheese, the disgust in his face, he got so angry. But remember, I told you my dad was very calm. Like, good evening, fellow South Africans. So Dad said, I've never seen such heartless people in my entire life. What if our kids were kidnapped in the forest while they are walking by the fellow villagers around the villages which are situated next to this mission? Why didn't you write a letter to us telling us about this? How can you open the gates of the whole mission and let our kids out into the open like that? What if our kids were killed? What if our kids were raped? And another thing, you are dismissing our kids for refusing to eat rotten cheese. You want our kids to have food poisoning. Let me not go on and on. Dad said a mouthful and he was fuming and he told them that you are actually disgusting. And at that stage, my mom is looking at my dad like this. Yeah, I can still remember my mom's look even to this day, 30 years later. You can imagine, Mom was fuming inside because guess what? Dad kicked me yesterday. Wesisu. We understand the big intestines and small intestines and appendixes and livers and kidneys. So one of the vital organs, udada. Ingati ukaba ihagu. So I understand my mom. So umama never uttered a thing in that room to my dad, but Mom said one sentence to sister that you are so wicked. All of you, just stop praying. Stop praying. That's it. That's the only thing my mom said. Then my mom said, you know what? Give us 5 minutes. You are saying now we must beat our child. that's the only condition she's going to be taken back, or we go to the school hostel and take her things and live with her out of the mission. We need to get out of the mission. So we stepped outside, we went to the car, and my parents were sitting with me, obviously, inside the car. Then my parents begged me. My mom said, mntanam, kungomatshi ngoku, akekho umntana othathwayo esikoleni. Mama was basically saying, with dad and mom were basically saying to me, my child, it's March now, it's almost Easter time, the first term of school is almost finished. There is no school that will accept you now, and you can't sit in the village not studying. Mntanam, please, we're gonna beat you. Our parents were caught between an ocean and a cliff. In front of them, it was a cliff. At the back of them, it was the ocean. On the right-hand side, it was a lion. On the left-hand side, it was a python. All our parents whose kids were expelled, all of us, they were caught in between those 4 deadly things. And some of the parents, they didn't buy that. They said hell no. I'm sure they said that inside their hearts. Then they left with their kids, and their kids were sitting at home the whole year. So mom said, mntanam, we're gonna beat you. We're going to so that you can go back to school, mntanam. Then we'll look for a new school for you next year. Did they look for a new school? The way they loved Twele and its discipline and its academic excellence, guys. Nangoku, abantwana basuka Twele, the products of Twele. Azinhlembikane. Yeah, I can go on and on, mami means the chief executive officers, zo Eskom. Azimkhitamaka, the pharmacists. Oh, no khanyo madliwa ngo-doctor. Guys, let me stop. There is a lot of people. So it polished our minds to be very strong, so that you capture a lot of information. So thank you to Twele, because they polished our mental strength so that it's, yeah. I'm not even mentioning only titles here, even the way we conduct ourselves, being strong, being very independent, and so on and so forth. I'm not saying it's only Twele that can teach you those things. There's many schools, but we're talking about Twele now. I mean, guys, let's use another example. Who would stay alone in such a big property, alone, for years, with the dogs? Because Twele taught us to be strong, man. It taught us not to fear anything, you know. So, you know that foundation. There were so many things we were taught. You know that foundation. Even though that discipline was tapping over the normal line, it was tapping over to abuse now. But ndiyawabulela amaroma. Ndiyawabulela kakhulu amaroma. So, going back to inside my parents' car, then mom and dad said, we're going to beat you, mntanam, and then we'll look for another school. We love you. We sorry about everything, mntanam, that you had to go through and all that. Did dad apologize for kicking me yesterday? No. You know our parents. To say sorry, that's not very easy. You just see them. You just see their actions. The love that they give you. I don't even want to know how was the road from Twele back to Duja with my parents alone in the car. Yeah, I'm sure Mama was talking non-stop, eh? I'm sure Mama was talking non-stop, and I'm sure Dad was quiet all along, because now he's on the wrong side. As much as he's a provider, well-respected, hardworking, very loving to his wife, very loving to his kids. But in that situation, the cheese expulsion situation, Dad was numb. And I'm sure Dad inside his heart was beating himself for reacting so fast. And guys, okay, before I go to what I'm about to tell you guys, let me finish my parents' car story. So I can imagine, like, I wish I can be a green fly at that time. Yeah, and listen, obviously, they will never howl at each other, guys. You know, our parents were decent, not insane. But But I know Dad got a mouthful. I'm sure Dad got a mouthful. I'm certain about that one. Yeah, but these people were lovers. These people were husband and wife, for many, many decades, over 40 years, So, inoba bazisota sana kulo moto kolo hambo begqibondishiya and all that, and Dad gave me, you know what, guys, lots of money and all that, and then kubekho nomphako, guys. Zange kubekho nomphako ke esiwuthengula kwaShoprite eMthatha okanye eDutyo. I-Westgate Dutya, we left Dutya while it was still dark because sirashele emampondweni, we had to get to the Mpondoland. So zange sidlule. There was Circus Triangle eMthatha, guys. Is it still there? There was a mall called Circus Triangle there with many shops, Even the BG that Dad was buying us clothes in was in Umtata, there inside that Circus Triangle. So we could not buy any nice goodies because remember, when we were going to Twele that morning, we didn't know what to expect. My parents thought that the sisters, the nuns, the school is actually indeed sticking to what they told us, that let's go and fetch our parents and get back to the mission and pack our clothes. So my parents could not buy me anything because they were there to fetch my clothes, Yeah. So I forgave my dad. Forgave means I didn't even have. You remember, I was young, guys. That didn't even affect me. Load shedding, guys. Wow. We'll continue with this next when the electricity is back. Wow. The electricity just came back, guys. So wait, let me first pour myself some Coke. I will take it back to my fridge. I'm shooting in my bedroom, guys. And don't ask me as to, in these 2 hours, what was I doing? I was sleeping. I took off the wig. I took off my nice dress. Then I slept with my pajamas. Then now that the electricity is back, I was like, no, let me have one outfit for this video. Yeah, so I had to wear again, and I must quickly change and take a shower and sleep. So yeah, wait, let me sip, guys, some Coke. Hold on. Okay, guys, then I decided, let me quickly write these last few pointers so that I don't drag this video too much. So my parents gave me, not my parents, my mom, in front of my dad and the school principal, gave me a few lectures so that I can go to the classroom, and they were not that painful because obviously my mom and my dad were already annoyed and disgusted by the whole situation. They were fuming. So yeah, and then their principal could see that mom is playing with me. Those are not hot lashes, but she could not do what she did with the previous parents who were inside, because the other parents also did the same, and and the school principal apparently said to the parents, okay, let me show you. But she never said that to my parents because they already gave a full mouth of words, and he could see that as much as my parents are humble, remember our parents are known by the principal. This was my second year in the school, so you can imagine what she did to the other parents. She didn't even try that with my humble parents because she knew that she knew that she's already in big trouble because she has caused chronic animosity with the parents. So and she knew my parents are not big mouthed and all that. They are very humble. But she could see that day that she has literally rubbed Utatumadlwa noMamadlwa the wrong way. They were disgusted. They were pissed off. They were annoyed. Do you understand? The only thing that made them to agree with that current suggestion of beating, that condition of beating, so that I remain in the school. It's because they were caught between the 4 dangerous things I told you about. They had no option. They had no fifth option. Yes. So I can imagine how the journey back to Umtata, my parents alone in the car. I'm sure mom was here. Mom was here. I'm sure mom was just telling my dad that whatever he did is uncalled for. But they are best friends. I'm sure they thought to finish, amongst the two of them. When someone says, you will see to finish, they actually did that. And obviously, I was back in the classroom, which was very empty. That classroom, I don't even think there were more than 10 people. And it was day scholars mostly, because us who were staying in the hostel were dismissed. And some were not back yet. And some other parents said, we're not doing that beating suggestion of your sister. Shove it to yourself. They left with their kids. But most of the parents, actually, half of the parents left with their kids. Then half did what my mom and my dad did and gave their kids lashes. Ikwale was very strong in academic excellence, guys. That school was the best. I already mentioned the some of the products from Kwele. There is Phumela Mgudlwa. Those are medical doctor. Phumela Mgudlwa is a Kwele product. There is Numisanda Mase from that same village. Medical doctor. Those are products of Kwele who were with me there at Kwele. There is Madoda Koti, lawyers. Those were pupils at Kwele during my time there. So I understand why our parents loved that school, even the discipline. Let me not repeat what I said earlier. I mean, I've already elaborated and narrated for you the discipline of Twele, even though sometimes it was severe and harsh. There you would be given a whole stadium to cut with a sickle. Where have you seen something like that? That's extreme. That's extreme. Cutting grass, kneeling on the grass with your knees, cutting a huge stadium with sickles, and you are about 5, and you must finish that stadium before the end of the day. Look at our hands. You see our hands. Because kaloku we were doing hard labor as early as that age. Yeah, but thank you, Twele, minus the other toxic abuse. But thank you. We're just focusing on the good that you taught us. Yeah, I think now, guys, the kind of parents that gave birth to me. Those were very strict people. Even though I'm the only child who has ever been beaten by dad. Dad has never beaten anyone. Dad is a calm man. But let's put our shoes in dad's situation. I'm sure dad, one, was embarrassed that, what will that receptionist at work say? That's an embarrassment because our parents were seniors at Sportnet. Do you understand? These people were supervisors, superintendents, leading people, mentoring and coaching people, including that receptionist. Now, can you imagine? I can imagine. I'm sure that is what was going on in my dad's head. Number 2, Umafungwashe. I'm sure dad was like, if Mafungwashe is losing it like this in life at this age, remember, as a Mafungwashe, that role is huge. That role is important. That role is honored. And if you're a Mafungwashe, you have to live according to that standard of being a Mafungwashe. I'm sure Utata was overwhelmed. As if Umafungwashe is destroying her own future at as early as age 10. Then akho mzimos apha mhlanda afana umfazi wam. Kaloku Umafungwashe nenkulu. And sendichazela inkulu yasekhaya ubhutphelela passed away. Okay, but he passed away a year later. But what I'm trying to say is, inkulu, if you are the firstborn at home, or you are not the firstborn, but you are a Mafungwashe, no, you need to live to that standard of that role. So I can imagine what was going on in dad's head, and the sacrifices. I told you guys, dad spoiled us rotten with love, with care, with mentoring and coaching, with buying us boarding school, So I'm sure dad was like, instead of meeting me halfway, no Kanyo, you are embarrassing me and your mother. I get that. I get that. Yes, I'm old, but I get that. But at that age, I didn't even feel anything. I didn't have hatred for my father because on a scale, when you weigh that one incident, and the other great things Utata has done for me and my siblings, do you understand? It was just too big, that scale, on the good side. Because I knew without any doubt that dad wants the best for me and my siblings. And Peter, I've been an A student since sub A. Up until master's level, guys. PhD showed me flames. Yes. So I'm sure Dada is like, with such a great potential, you are messing it up. I'm sure then with all those things, possible things that I'm mentioning that were going on in his mind, that's how he reacted. And that taught my siblings a lesson. Do you understand? That whole incident of mine, it taught my siblings a lesson. Never ever mess with my parents. Because Dina school is better mama. Esibethu mama yo, and all that. Utata was more on the mentoring and coaching side. Atete now. That I got into needs to be taught because we're not rebellious kids. I'm making an example. If maybe getting a mistake or something, ikhawitsixigeyithi yegusha ngemistake, then igusha zaphuma ebusuku zahamba pha eyadini, then dad will sit you down. So it's not like we're doing big things at all. That home environment didn't allow any child who is naughty, because you are going to be a very frustrated child. Those two parents, otherwise ubuya nalo. They were very strict. As much as they were very warm, very nurturing, very loving, very, very strict, even though they were parents of very few words. So when we were getting out of the school principal's office, my dad said to my mom, "Oh, mntanam." And then my mom was like, "Phantsi undibulalela umntana apha. Yini umntanam uphantsi umbulala." So that was the situation, guys. Yo, hayi ndiyawoyika amaroma. So, I'm sure the villagers were very shocked of what was happening whilst they were looking maybe through their windows, seeing my father kicking me and me crying out loud. I'm sure they were like, yo, ayinobumithi lo mntana. Abantwana abangamaqanda kangaka kumama abonotata wabo, iwesi ke yena umafungwasha ungathi ethandwa kangaka ngutatakhe, incakasana katatakhe, abethwe ngutatakhe. Hayi noba lo mntana ubuye nesisu apha ebesiwe khona uba ayofunda, and zange utata uMadliwa sambone betha abantwana. So it was a shock to the village. I'm definitely sure. And obviously, but shock, and if someone spread those news, they died immediately, because now the following day, I was not in the homestead. When the sun rose, my parents and I were already in the Mbondoland. Remember, I told you we left the homestead in the dark because we had to get to Tole on time to determine whether I will still get to the classroom. And obviously, my parents had to go back to work. I can imagine them towel. I can imagine them towel but they wouldn't know a thing. That's my mom. My mom, she would never hang her dirty laundry. My mom. So Mtawelanga, they knew nothing. And obviously at Sportnet, at Mtawelanga High School, they knew nothing. Then at Mtawela, at Sportnet, I'm sure that lady at the reception area already spread the news. Because guys, office gossip. For those who do it, I don't do it. Ask my colleagues. I don't do that. If you don't find me in the office, you'll find me in the boardroom. If you don't find me in the boardroom, you'll find me in a depot coordinating my project. Yeah. So can you imagine, okay, guys, if I would be pregnant, if me and my sister would be pregnant in that home at that age, we would be on the streets because mom told us that dad said he will never stay here with two mothers in this homestead. The only queen there is my mother, his wife. So anyone who decides to fall pregnant, I start wedlock, must not even bother stepping inside the homestead. For the fact that you can make a kid, that means you are old enough to have your own shelter because you are doing adult things. Adult thing means you are doing big things. You're making kids. So you are capable of managing your own little family with your boyfriend. So that was the situation in that home. Disorder of any nature was not allowed. Ukugxothwa disorder, guys. To be expelled out of school. Our parents are trying to build our future, all of us in this world. Now you get expelled. Your future ends at age 10. So that is the kind of background I'm coming from. Very loving, very beautiful, very healthy. But those parents' silence was speaking volumes. And my incident, it was a permanent reference inside my siblings. A cerebellum. Remember when we were doing biology, when we were young, even there, they said the brain is the cerebrum. The cerebellum. So in their cerebellum archives at the back of their minds, they knew that we don't want utata sana asicumze undunci ngesihlangu. We don't want to go through what Unokanyo went through. So guys, so my dad almost killed me. He was very angry with me. He almost burst my big intestine. Guys, do not forget to subscribe, like, share, comment, and I hope you have enjoyed my sad story, my sweet donuts, my sweetest donuts in my donut basket. Guys, you have a blessed evening. I love you guys so much. I love you guys so much. Please, if you are a youngster still under the submission of parents, please listen to this video, mtanam, and do not let your parents down. At all. Bye-bye. The village girl with the PhD must bounce. Mwah. The electricity just came back, my angels. Let me quickly eat. Give me just 10 minutes. Let me quickly eat my mussels. Yeah, ningathi kutheni ke zininzi. Don't even say why is it a lot of mussels. Azinanyama ii-mussels bethu ngonokrwece. Not like ufike siyenzelwa in Ethiopia restaurant and the other restaurants that you also know. Kumane kusithiwa starter mussels 5 for 75 rand. Khanye ndizityele inqwaba ye-mussels zam bethunana. Because azinanyama ii-mussels andizuva noba ndityile, but ke I will also eat 2 small slices of my garlic bread. I made these mussels yesterday. Wow. Let me eat. Okay. Let me quickly eat so that I can finish this video for you guys about my dad. Ngophantsi undigqabhuza undunci. Yuu!